guys, so today I decided to make a video about being social. It's out of the blue because I wouldn't say I'm the most social person, but yeah, people normally would consider me to be extroverted. I have like this thing where I can instantly feel if this is someone that I would like to talk to and interact with. And then depending on that, that's when I decide to be social or not. So it's like, are you social with people you don't like? This is something that I'm quite curious about, so please do answer if you have an answer to that. Anyway, so I wanted to start about the idea of what it is to be social. So personally, I think it's like making a difference and actually impacting another person's life in a positive way. You kind of have to get it in your head that everything you do within your whole life is going to be with people. So you being introverted is not an excuse for you to socially isolate yourself. Socially isolating yourself is probably the worst thing you could do to yourself. You lose that connection with people. You lose that social ability in order to benefit your own life, because being social only comes with benefits. Yes, if you're too social, if you're too much of a people pleaser, there's obviously going to be downfalls and negatives, but that's like for everything in life. Being social is not something that you should hide away with, and using that and using your introverted excuse is not going to help you, because everything we do every single day involves people. From buying a house, from getting a Wi-Fi plan, going to the grocery store, it all involves people. And we are literally built, like as humans, our evolutionary brains are built in order to be social, in order to survive. Yes, some people have it easier with being social, some people have it harder, but this is something that you can improve on. Social isolation is probably the worst thing you can do to yourself. You go into a state of mind where you think you are alone, and once you get outside into the real world, you completely forget how to act. You get social anxiety, you think everything's revolving around you. It's not. It's not. Everyone's living their own lives, everyone is going through their own problems, so do not socially isolate yourself. Trust me, I've done that for 8 months when I was in Finland, and when I got out into Helsinki, I wasn't myself. I was completely different. I didn't even recognize myself, and that was a really dark point that I will probably never go back to. Anyway, you probably know this already, but I'm gonna say it right now. Having a group of friends, smaller group of friends, that you can really talk to about anything and relate to is better than having a lot of friends that you just hang out and don't really care about you. Quality over quantity, which is probably something you've heard 1,000 times, but I'll say it one more time, and it links with friends, like, and your social abilities. Again, online communications and real life communications are two completely different communications. I'm gonna link down a study and an article that's really interesting about how online communication differs from real life. But to summarize it, basically it has completely two different effects, and obviously real life communication is preferred because it allows you to interact with people in real life, and people tend to fabricate themselves online, which obviously isn't obvious, but some people just cannot get the fact that a lot of the things we see online are false. So once you actually go outside and interact with people, you tend to realize that this is not how they act. Regarding health benefits of interacting with people, it's good for your mental and physical well-being because it gives you a sense of happiness. Your well-being increases, your longevity increases, and it makes you more confident. This is quite a big one. It makes you confident within yourself. Once you start having these interactions with people, these different interactions with people that are across a broad spectrum, then you start really like thinking higher of yourself, that you think you can just talk to people and get to know them. But this is probably like somewhere at the end of the process, because at the start it's the hardest, and actually putting yourself out there, it's the hardest, which for everything is, but definitely for social capabilities. And let me just remind you, just because you're not social right now does not mean you can never be social. Yes, you might not be social to the extent that other people are, but that does not mean you just have to be okay with the fact that you're like this and label yourself as an introvert, which, if you're trying to fight labels, it's probably something that you should be fighting against and not just sticking with, because if you're an introvert, there's definitely things you can improve on. And if you're okay with being an introvert, that's your problem, and you probably should not be watching this video. It allows you to access people. Like, the more people you interact with, the more connections that you build, it gives you support emotionally, physically, and maybe even in their job-wise, career-wise, specialty. If someone's a real estate agent and you made friends with them, then they probably could help you out. We tend to think about things on a surface level. And because nowadays, it's so accessible to just go online, go on Tinder, go on Bumble, Instagram, WhatsApp, find someone online and meet them in real life. And they tend to be the complete opposite version of themselves. So I'm really like sketched out about the whole like online thing. But some people do make really great connections, and it's really rare though. A lot of the connections that are made online do not normally last. Once I came out of my self-isolation zone in Finland, the first thing that I tended to do is I thought about, like, why am I feeling really anxious? Is it because I could not interact with people? Is it because I felt like everyone was judging me? Well, I had to humble myself because I understood that the world does not revolve around me, and that people are, like I said before, are in their own heads, in their own problems. I tended to find that making friends in workplaces, school, and like groups and activities, hobbies, interests, it's way more easier because you're kind of forcefully put in a situation where you had to make friends. So let me ask you this. How many times have you been outside just walking and someone came up to you and wanted to go hang out with you? It's really rare. Most of the time we make friends in a forced environment. So what I would say to that is, if you have an interest or hobby, let's say you really like gymnastics and you sign yourself up for a gymnastics class, you are probably going to make friends there because they have the same interests and hobbies and you have something to talk about. That does not say, just because they have the same interests and hobbies as you, that does not mean, like, it gives you a starting point. The second thing is, which I would say is the most important thing, is to find people that you are actually comfortable around with and who make you feel good, and people who have like a positive thing about them, who are ambitious, who are also trying to improve their lives. But you can use this and reflect it upon yourself. So you could try to be that person for someone else. And then, because most of the time, we're friends with people who make us feel good about ourselves, who make us happier and more positive. So you could leave that impression on someone else and someone else could leave it for you. This is something that I did, and it really, like, I put it to an experiment. I sound like a little detective right now, but once I got to the Netherlands, I was like, okay, I'm going outside, straight face on, like, let me see how many people interact with me. And what I found is that I like conducted a whole sociological research, but what I found is that people didn't interact with me. And the next day, I decided that I would smile, I would just like make eye contact with people, and I found that people came up to me more, they spoke to me more. So basically, what I'm trying to say is that your facial expressions, your facial emotions, portray a lot to another person subconsciously. They feel more comfortable around you. When they feel more comfortable around you, they're more likely to approach you. If you're speaking to someone, ask them a lot of questions. It really does help. And stop feeling sorry for yourself. Just because you're introverted does not mean you cannot do anything about it. Yes, you can. Keep practicing. I had to force myself. I did a thing where I would go outside and I'd force myself to make like a compliment to like 3 people. So I never did like 4 people. So I would force myself to start conversations with people and compliment people. Let me give you an example. If I'm at a grocery store and a cashier is scanning the products, like normally I would never even make eye contact with them. I'd just be like, thank you. I would be like, have a good day, like compliment, I like your makeup today. So what I'm saying is, you have to put yourself out there. For the same thing that you should not be accepting a lot of things in your life, do not get comfortable. Just because you are like this right now does not mean you cannot change in the future. Okay, now I've literally been talking for 12 minutes. I'm getting out of here right now. Bye guys.